Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. So as you can see, I've got an old bird table here and I found this thrown out of a house, and I thought it was a bit too good to throw away. So I brought it back, and because of all the nice weather that we've been having, I thought I'll do a little restoration project outdoors. So that is it before I started. It's looking fairly tired and the bottom half is pretty much completely rotten, so I'll have to rebuild that. So I just started off by dismantling that bottom piece and taking all that rotten wood off. And this was fairly simple because the wood was quite soft. Now I'm just removing those old nails out of the wood. And that's all the rotten wood that came off, and that's ready for the burner. So I noticed that an inch or two of the bottom of the post was rotten, so I decided to cut that off. As you can see, I'm just struggling a bit there with my mitre saw because it was quite chunky wood. I could just get it in there. And then the rest of the cut I just finished off with a handsaw. So my plan was to repair the bottom because I didn't want to lose any height on the bird table because it was already about as small as I'd like it to be. So I just got a piece of scrap pallet wood and I just drew around the bottom with a pencil and then cut it out on the mitre saw. So now I'm just going to glue it to the bottom and then add some old ring nails that I got out of a lot of the pallets that I've been breaking up for support. And this bottom piece was also just helped to seal the post and to stop it getting any further damage from damp. So now that that was glued and nailed on, I just neatened up the edges with a small chisel. And some of the sawdust that I've kept, I just mixed that with some glue to make a filler. And now I'm going to go ahead and just fill any little holes or bits of damage that the bird table has sustained over its lifetime. I don't know how old it is, it's probably 10 years old, maybe. And all those old nail holes and things, I'm just going to fill those in. So the next thing to do, the top piece of the roof was quite loose and it had warped a bit as well, and the roof itself needed repairing, so I just took those two top pieces off and I'll use those as a template to make some new ones later on. So as you can see, that top has warped and it parted. So the next thing to do was I'm just cleaning off the old glue there, and then just giving everything a good sanding. There's a few old nails that need removing as well. So the next thing is to glue and clamp the roof to get it nice and tight again. So you can see I've clamped it up, and now I'm going to add some panel pins just to keep everything nice and tight just while the glue dries, and there's quite a bit of glue in there. And I'm just doing the other side now. And the wood itself on the bird table is in quite good condition. So I'm just remaking that top piece now. So because one overlaps the other, I made one slightly bigger than the other one, so that when they join together they look symmetrical. And that is just a piece of scrap plywood that I had, and that will match the top because the top is actually made of plywood anyway. So now I'm just matching them up to the ones that I took off. These are a bit wider than the original ones, but I think that looks better. And now I'm just going to glue that and nail it together. And I'm just adding some extra glue in that joint just to make it nice and strong. So now what I'm doing is I'm cutting some legs for the base, and I'm going to change the design. So I'm just cutting 4 and making sure they're all the same length. And now I decided to put a 45-degree cut on the end of each leg just to make it look a bit nicer. And from the first offcut I used that as a template to match up to all the other legs. And that's the 4 legs so far. And you'll see what design I'm going to do in a minute. So now I'm just adding some nails to really strengthen up the top. And I'm doing the same again. I'm just adding some sawdust and wood glue to any areas that have opened up a little bit over time or shrank, just to fill in all those gaps where water could get in. And now it's time for a sanding. And I'm just giving the legs a sanding down as well. So here I'm just using a set square, and I've used the first leg to just to work out where I need to put those legs on the base, and I'm just drawing a line all the way around just to make sure it matches up nice and square, ready for when I put the legs on. And now I'm just going to drill some pilot holes and get those legs screwed on. And I used some nice chunky zinc plated wood screws for this, and then I followed that up with a couple of additional ring nails as well, just to make it all nice and solid. Adding plenty of glue as well. And there you can see the 4 legs on. So it's a completely different design to the original one. And I'm doing the same again with the sawdust and the wood glue, just to fill in all those nail holes and things from the pallet wood. And that structure is all screwed and glued. When that dries, it'll be really solid. So for the top, which goes on the roof, I'm just going to give that a sanding down, ready for staining. And now it's time for the clamps to come off. That roof's all dry, so now it's back to as it was originally, and I'm just giving it all the sanding, ready for staining. And as you can see, there was loads of old bird seeds that had been left inside the bird table, so I just quickly got those out before staining the whole thing. And for that I used a decking stain called dark oak, and in the end I probably gave the whole thing probably 3 coats, just to give it a really deep colour. And that is just a little the opening, so that you can clean the table out. There's a hole and there's a piece of wood that goes down like a little door, and then that is the top that I'm staining. So that was just an initial stain for the top, ready for the next layer of paint that's going to go on there, and you'll see that in a moment. I was lucky because the weather was good, so that between each layer of stain it dried fairly quickly. So now it's time to get that top on, and I just used some grab adhesive there just to help to seat it into position. And now I'm going to just secure that in place with some more panel pins. And just once again giving it a sanding ready for the final application to go on there. And for that, for the roof, I was going to use, decided to use, it's called bitumen emulsion. I would have used felt, but I didn't have any. And because the roof is so small, I thought it would be fine to use this, and I gave it 2 coats of this, and I worked it into all the cracks to give it a nice waterproof seal. And there's the first coat complete. So I decided to put a little motif on the front of the bird table, so I drew out like a silhouette of a bird onto a piece of scrap pallet wood, and then I went ahead with the portable jigsaw and I just cut that shape out. If you have like a small scroll saw or a bandsaw, that would be a much more suitable tool for this. But I just had a jigsaw, so it worked fine in the end. And I gave that sanding down, and then I gave it a coat of stain, which was a different shade of brown to the stain that I was using on the main bird table. The main bird table is dark oak and this is teak, and I just gave it 2 coats of that to give a nice contrast. and I just I glued it on and then attached it with a couple of panel pins. And there it is on. So then I just went ahead and gave it a second coat of that bitumen emulsion to the roof. And I decided, I had these rubber feet in my box of bits and bobs, and I decided to put these on the bottom of the legs to just raise it off the ground slightly, so that none of the wood would ever be in contact with the ground, and that would prevent any rot. So finally I just reassembled the bird table, and there was just a bolt and a washer to attach it, the top of the bird table to the legs, and there you can see the legs finished. So I was quite pleased with how this came out in the end, and I think I've now got quite a nice bird table. So if you found this video useful, please like this video, and if you've got any questions, please let me know. And please also consider subscribing as well for more videos. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.